Hey there everyone, welcome back to another Game Vault video as always. It's Captain Beefy. Yeah, and we've got another story today about DEI and how it ruins video games. So, let's just cue up the music and we'll get right to it. Alright, well, we've been down this road before with other games like Suicide Squad and so forth and so on, but Sweet Baby Inc. developed Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn, loses nearly 70% of its already anemic player base in just over a week. This is a game I called out before it was released, that it was going to be a real piece of crap, and it was going to fail miserably. Why? Not because the main character is a strong black woman, which, is kind of a little overdone anymore, but in any case, if it's done right, it's done right. But because Sweet Baby Inc. was involved in it, and it was called out for that on Steam, as well as, I think, DEI detected. So, yeah, this game was pretty much DOA before it even came out. Now, of course, there's other factors involved. I'm not going to say that's the only thing that made this game suck, but it sure contributed to it. Flintlock Siege Dawn released on July 18th and only had a peak concurrent player base of 648. Just over a week since the game released, the peak concurrent has declined nearly 70% to 203. Now remember, this is on Steam. This doesn't include Xbox or PlayStation or anything like that. I don't know of any way to get those numbers or if anybody actually tracks those numbers. It would be kind of nice if that was available just for transparency's sake, because it'd be interesting to see. This game may be rocking and rolling on Xbox. There may be 20,000 people playing. I doubt it. But, there could be. You never know. So, it'd be nice to see that kind of stuff, but we don't see it. So, we can kind of figure whatever the numbers are, the trend is probably very similar on every single platform as it's going down and going down very quickly. I mean, this thing came out on July 19th? It peaked 648 players and, down 2/3. It's not surprising that the game's player base is quickly shrinking. While the game has mostly positive reviews on Steam, the most helpful review in the last 7 days is negative and tells potential players to avoid the game. Semi-literate Ape writes, let's go down to his actual thing here. This game feels unfinished. The store page describes it as Souls light, and that's what it is, in the worst possible ways. Light on the build depth and variety, light on the difficulty, light on the content and length of the damn game. I completed the main story, including all side quests, all Enki feathers, and all shrines in 11.6 hours. I played on normal, so maybe the hard difficulty is more of a challenge, but the big bosses were trivial. Even the final boss fell over pretty quick, and the story is nothing to speak of. Oh, and the game kept crashing for me. Thankfully, the game seems to save its state before exiting, even on a crash, so I never lost any progress. That's fortunate. And don't get me wrong, I had some fun. I wouldn't have spent 11.6 hours on it if there was no fun to be had. It's particularly satisfying to switch between melee and ranged combat relatively fluidly, or to shoot a suspiciously well-placed explosive barrel to clear a pack of enemies, but that fails to make up for everything the game lacks. Overall, I think this game is criminally undercooked. The concept and world had decent potential, and the combat isn't terrible either. So given a few more years of development, I could see the game being pretty good. Sadly, what we got was just mediocre on all levels. I wouldn't suggest you pay much more than $10 for it. Ouch. The second most helpful review also does not recommend the game. Netchademon states, the game is not terrible. It looks great, and I've had no performance issues. However, I can't recommend it because the balance is simply terrible. The game can't decide whether it wants to be Assassin's Creed or a Souls game, so it veers wildly and unexpectedly between difficulties in a way that I found persistently irritating. Most of the time, the game is Assassin's Creed, a fun game that requires little technical gaming expertise. In Flintlock, you follow the quest marker, parkour over obstacles that are clearly marked in white, or zip through rifts that give you an infinite amount of time to choose your direction. If you wander around, you find resources or hidden treasure chests. The game might be more like God of War, but the writing in Flintlock is so dull that I don't want to make the comparison. Flintlock's writing is dull like Assassin's Creed Valhalla is dull. But from time to time, without warning, the game turns into a Souls-like game. The parkour in the Black Powder Factory, for example, is not really difficult, but if you haven't fallen to your death a million times in Elden Ring to get the thumbprint shield, you might not be used to missing your jumps. The game does not prepare you for the first boss fight, for example, which has 3 phases and requires good parrying skills. That's not a bad thing if the rest of the game had the same vibe, but it doesn't. I love the Parade Master fight in the Lies of P. It was engaging and taught you about the game you were about to play. I don't like the swings and difficulty in Flintlock. The combat in its open world is from a different game than the boss combat. And I'm not an impatient player. It took me 2 days to learn to dodge and beat Consort Rodden, and 2 days to learn and kill the Nameless Puppet, but Flintlock doesn't inspire me to put the time in because the game as a whole doesn't inspire that kind of commitment. If its gameplay were more cohesive or the story more interesting, I might feel differently. Perhaps the devs will retune the game in an update. Womp womp. And Kurutis Rambo, the founder of Sweet Baby Inc., who added Flintlock, says the game is just terrible. Not only are gamers unimpressed by the game, but the initial anemic player base shows that gamers are not interested in games that have been infected by Sweet Baby Inc., and this game was definitely infected by Sweet Baby Inc., with former A44's chief operating officer Audra Tops Harjo confirming to Edge magazine that Sweet Baby Inc. Kim Belair worked on the game. Edge magazine reported for Flintlock it was Hops Harjo who brought on Kim Belair, the Montreal-based narrative director who has advocated for better representation in stories and as a means of bringing new and exciting ideas to games. Doesn't sound like it worked. Harjo explained she took the wonderful base layer Derek had, the world, and just elevated it. Does she know what elevated means? She added, you know the difference when there's a person who's reflecting at you and it's true. There's a certain truth that resonates that can't be faked. I know some people won't notice, but the people who are tuned to that, they'll get it immediately. Let's just stop and stop pretending, okay? So, I think what's happened here is a combination of bad things, right? First off, Flintlock had a lot of backlash before it was even released, when the whole Sweet Baby Inc. mess was released, and rightfully so. There's nothing wrong with that. If, as a gamer and as someone who regularly buys games and all that, I don't want to give my money to people like Kim Belair, okay? I don't want to give my money to companies that hire people like Kim Belair. I don't want to support DEI because it's a waste of money. It's garbage, and it's just full of garbage rhetoric that doesn't elevate anything. It only tears it down. Every instance of DEI in a game has not elevated the game. Now, people will make the argument, oh, Baldur's Gate had a lot of gayness in it. Well, yeah, it did. Okay? But Baldur's Gate was a solid game built on a solid foundation, and it was fantastic from what I hear. I played Baldur's Gate, and I got turned off by all the gayness in it, And that's me personally. I'm sure I wasn't the only person that kind of was going through that game going, this is fun and all that, but Jesus Christ, I'm tired of this. And I just gave up. I was like, you know what? I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I might go through and try it again at a later date and just change my method of playing completely instead of, trying to appease every character and keep them around for all their side quests and all that. If I find someone irritating, I might just kill them. Get rid of them, even if they're a party member. Like, what's the vampire's name? The white-haired vampire. It's like, you know what? I'm tired of this guy flirting with me. Let me just kill him. So, but then I'll probably be accused of hate crimes. There's no winning in that one, right? Oh, it's unbelievable. The interview also detailed that the game's narrative is full of woke ideological propaganda. So if this game had a strong start, and there was no Sweet Baby Inc. involved in it, it would have started off higher. Now, based on the gameplay and from the sound of what people are saying, it probably still would have had to drop off, but maybe that initial concurrent players would have been in the 4-digit realm, instead of 3. And maybe, it would have done decently, and maybe it would have started making some money, and the development team would have been like, let's patch this and fix it and all that. But there's really, when you start off with 600 people playing your game, and then a week later you have 200 people playing it, what incentive do you have to patch this game? How are you going to save this game? This game is dead. All right? You start off with that DEI propaganda and that Sweet Baby Ain't garbage. Then you release a game that sucks and people are saying it sucks and it's inconsistent and it's terrible and it's boring or whatever. There's no coming back from this. So Flintlock, it'll be $10 in 6 months. Pick it up then if you want to pick up a piece of trash for $10. Or you can spend that money in a much better way by going to get a coffee or something somewhere expensive. Harjo noted, those gods are almost a symbol of colonialism. Yeah, we've heard this before. They're the people who have taken over your agency. What do you do when you wrestle with that structure to find and gain your own identity? It's still the game, it's still gods and guns, and when you look at it from that lens, there's another layer on top of that. From Noor being a woman of color, it makes the character and dynamic even more an echo of reality. Here's the problem. Harjo and Belair are women, okay? And they are creating entertainment. They are creating a game for what is primarily a male player base. Primarily, okay? You can tell me all you want that 50% of gamers are women is not true. Okay, you can spin whatever you want to spin my way. We know that's not true. Now, when you factor in mobile gaming and stuff like that, that number skews, and yes, you'll have 50% there. I can easily admit that. But as far as computer gaming and console gaming and all that, no, it's not 50%. And there's a lot of women out there playing and that love it and all that, and that's wonderful, man. I have all the power to them, you know, no problem with that. But you know, here you are creating a game for men, and you don't know what men like in a game. Men don't want ideological propaganda, okay? We don't want to be told that we were colonists and all this other garbage, and we don't want you to try to shame us and you know, do all these, you know, all this garbage. And just, for what reason? Give us a fun game. Give us a game that has great characters in it, cool armor, awesome weapons, fun combat, fantastic enemy design, and we're there, man. We're just, boom, we're there. We're dropping our money and we're playing that game. Yeah. So Cabrutus, hey guys, I added another game to my curator list. This game is called Flintlock Siege Dawn and is shown in this physical copy of Edge magazine. It involves Kim Belair. I've waited a bit before deciding to add this one because, you know, yada yada yada. So not only was the game confirmed to be infected by Sweet Baby Inc., but former World of Warcraft team leader Mark Kern reported that the game was infected with woke ideology and the main character was initially imagined to be white. Yeah. He says so that A44 Games has been overrun by woke. I used to work there. Flintlock was a good project with lots of potential. Then it was ruined. He continued, before I go further, please note this is rumor from a source that seems very knowledgeable about the studio's inner workings. Take that as it is. If others would like to verify, please DM me anonymously. The CEO and COO at A44 are no longer with the company, but the damage seems to, you know, yada yada. So, did you know the protagonist of Flintlock used to be white? When COO and casting director Andrea Tops Harjo joined the studio, her first actions were to change the character to hire Sweet Baby Inc. and change the main character to a person of color. This marked the beginnings of the downfall, whatever, you know. We know what happened. So, and here's what really sucks. So, the CEO and the COO are no longer with the company. But they put this all in motion. So, they got away before this turd was flushed and released to the public, right? They got away. They did their damage and all that. They hired Sweet Baby Inc. And Sweet Baby Inc. got paid, and then they released this piece of garbage game that's not making any money and hurting the studio. So who's suffering here? You know, Harjo? No. Belair and Sweet Baby Inc.? No. The developers of the game, you know. And, you know, I'm sure a lot of them supported it. You know, hey, this is great. Yeah, person of color. All right, cool. You know, those colonial lists, I can't stand them. They just did everything bad and ruined the world. I'm sure there's a lot of them there, but I'm sure there's also some good people that just wanted to make a cool game, and they got screwed over. And I guarantee you this company is going to be shutting down or downsizing significantly in the very near future with all this news. So anyway, Next Grum shared that Audra Hops Harjo is rumored to have used the company's funds and manpower to power her personal agenda and projects on initiatives not related to the game or the studio itself. Wow. Okay, there's more on that. I will link this down below, so if you want to read through all the side stuff and all that, feel free. But aside from working with Sweet Baby Inc. and making changes to the game, Audra also directed numerous changes in HR in her role as COO. In 2021, most developers were denied raises and evaluations were postponed for 6 months. Most developers were denied raises year after COVID hit. Audra told HR to inform anyone who complained or asked questions that the reason is because I said so. I've often made the argument that many women are not suited to lead, and I will stand by that for reasons like this. Yeah, a guy could say that too, but guys don't operate that way. They not so much. This is a very I think the problem is that women have been taught through modern feminism that they need to be a bitch to be successful, right? They need to be mean to be successful. They need to become a man to be successful. And that's not how, guys, we're not like that, I mean, yeah, of course there are exceptions to the rule and all that, but, men in business can be cutthroat and all that, but we're also very fair and we have respect for each other and all that. Again, not always, but classically, that's the way it was, because I said so. That's what she told HR to say. If HR told me that, oh my God, I'd be going beyond HR if there was a way to go beyond them or around them or whatever. But she also ordered the HR team to hide the salaries of the top execs of the company. HR tried to help, but were unable to get past this. The team was worried about studio finances. Meanwhile, the new hires and changes to the game resulted in a project where these people who knew nothing about how a video game is made. After nearly 2 years of these DEI changes at A44, the damage had been done, he asserted. At this point, the studio was purchased for $175 million by Kepler Interactive in September of 21. This was an unusually high sum for a small studio, he says. A gaming collective fund whose founder also founded the Kowloon Knights Gaming Fund. It was at this point that Audra left the company. Perhaps this was the start of the cleanup of the game's troubles. Obviously, it was too little too late. Maybe they'd gone too far. Maybe they should have shelved the game. Maybe they should have just said, you know what? Let's take it back to the beginning and start over and fix it, Because if you're never going to recover now, okay? I mean, I could be wrong. Games have done horrible releases before and recovered. Look at No Man's Sky. Look at Fallout 76, Cyberpunk 2077. It happens, right? But I don't see it happening this time, And all those companies, Hello Games was an independent company, small developer. They did it, and they now have one of the best games out there. And it's huge. They've released so much stuff for it, all for free. No microtransactions or anything like that. But I just don't see them recovering. The state of games unknown at this time is believed to be in shambles after the 2-year round of DEI changes. And we now know A44 reached out to Cabrutus to refute SBI's involvement, saying they are no longer involved and their changes reversed. But when Cabrutus asked for proof, they refused to speak to him any further. Damage control is what they tried to do. He concluded, here's my advice to Kepler and the good folks left holding the bag at A44. You reverted the SBI changes? Good. Announce that you've terminated services with SBI and watch your PR soar. Gamers will flock to you. Don't try to hide it. Keep your MC a POC, but don't tokenize the character. Make it a great character with quality writing, one we all can love. Remove any sermons or preachiness or anti-white, anti-male racism and sexism from the game if it still remains. Don't lecture your audience. Embrace the gamer, and they will embrace you. Good luck and my genuine best wishes. And really, that's all it would have taken, I mean, we are tired of the strong black woman portrayed in video games because it is a trope at this point, and it is like checking off several boxes right there. Especially if they make her a lesbian, that's even one more box checked off, and it just feels like, it feels so fake. South Park did the whole Panderverse thing, and that's what it just feels like. It just feels like you're just pandering, You're checking off boxes to make a loud, small group of people happy. And at what price? It doesn't help your game, Anyway, following the game being initially added to Sweet Baby Inc., detected Steam curator list and Kern's report about the studio and game being overrun by woke ideology, senior operations and growth manager for Kepler Interactive Lizzie Kane raged on social media. She wrote on X, absolutely fuming, vibrating off the effing plane of reality. God, they are just so stupid. Vibrating off the plane of reality. Okay, Lacey. This piss weak pseudo-journalism that's far right, GG, are taking is so vile and incredible to see in real time and closer to home how wrong Grums is and how damaging he and his weird troop are. Sorry, Lacey. You just keep on vibrating. Go vibrate your way all the way home there, lady. Are you even a woman? You're probably not even a woman. But anyway, what do you guys think about the loss of 70% of its player base in a week? I mean, my God, here's a game that's a week old. It's not a AAA game by any stretch of the imagination. It's an indie game, I would say. Is it even a double? I don't even know if it's a AA game, but 203 people. And here's the trend, right? It peaks at a certain time of day, drops, obviously. Certain types of day are going to be busier and busier. And then it's just a steady drop. Is it ever gonna hit over 200 again? Maybe not. Maybe if there's a big update, free DLC, something like that. Maybe. Who knows? All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. If you haven't done so already, please leave a like on the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and ring that bell for notifications. I'll see you next time. Until then, peace.